I'm Anna Hart,
I'm Lorraine Hart.
and this is Straight From The Hart. We are a brand new, I'm not sure if you would call it a video podcast, a vlog, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we are here to shine a light on borreliosis, which is commonly called Lyme disease in this country, the USA. And we're here to share the things that we've learned along our 25-year journey. We're here to say to anybody else who's disabled, you're not alone. We're always here to be any kind of comfort. Please reach out if you need. Welcome to Straight From The Hart. Yeah. So I thought one of the things that I would orient people with is how long have we been dealing with Lyme, or what I like to say is Borrelia, etc. There's a reason for that, etc., because there's a lot of other things. I will get into that. The main infection that we know around the world is caused by a Borrelia spirochete. It's a little corkscrew-looking bacteria that is incredibly smart. When they talk about superbugs and how they might be coming, when we learn the specifics of spirochetes and what they can do, they can shed their outer layer. They can read what antibiotics are coming at them and adjust their DNA. They can shed proteins. There are all sorts of defense mechanisms that Borrelia has set in stone because it has been with us for thousands of years. And we have the scientific evidence for that. There was a mummy that was dated to 5,300 years ago, found in the Alps. Think about modern-day Australia. And he was named Otzi because the area is called the Otzel Alps. And when they did the autopsy on this mummy, he had some really significant joint decay and bone decay. And then it came out that they found the spirochete, the Borrelia spirochete. And just that fact alone, we've been living with, and spirochetes are one of the oldest bacteria on Earth. So we've been living with this for quite some time. It has had time to get to know us, get to know our strengths, our weaknesses. But so, okay, we have the evidence in Otzi, and we also have evidence from every continent around the world, including Antarctica, that there are forms of Borrelia that cause illness worldwide. This is a worldwide problem, and we're not here to be Chicken Little. We're not here to...
No.
We're not saying to stop enjoying nature. Quite the contrary, indeed.
Not inviting you down a rabbit hole.
Right.
We try and deal with facts.
We have facts we need to share, and the numbers are just growing. So
exponentially.
Let's center back to the US. What we know, our history of Lyme, is in 1974, a bunch of kids had arthritic knees, and why were kids coming down with arthritis? They finally found the common causative agent, the spirochete, and they named the infection after that area, Lyme, Connecticut. So hence we have Lyme disease. In the early 80s, we had Dr. Bergdorfer do his work looking in the microscope. He finally found the exact spirochete that caused what the children were ailing with, and so they named this Borrelia after Dr. Bergdorfer. It became Borrelia burgdorferi.
Yeah.
These words become hard to pronounce, so my apologies. Please deal. Please.
Yeah.
All right. So then, from 1974 on, you really didn't hear about Lyme again. Unless you live in a certain area, like when I was growing up on Long Island, New York, we had health classes that taught to tell us to watch for the bullseye rash, tell us to watch for ticks, tell us how to avoid them. And it was about like a 5-minute section of health in middle school. But boy, did I remember it later. Everybody gets their own view of Lyme depending on where you live. If you lived in the Northeast, you were taught about it in school. You were made to be careful when you went outside, came back inside. Down south, they did not know that it was as much of a problem until the 2000s. And I entered the Lyme community in 1999 because I had a bullseye rash. It was a blessing in a way because I didn't have to guess through a million different symptoms. I had what would be a definitive diagnosis if a doctor saw it. But not everybody gets that rash. Not everybody has the same presentation. And depending on where you live, there are different ticks. There are different pathogens. So there are different infections that jump to humans. 75% of people who are bitten in their own home area. So they're going outside either to play, to garden, to walk about the block, walk the dog. 3 out of 4 get it right at home.
Breaking leaves.
Yeah, there's a good one. I'm the outlier where I got my infection while I was traveling. I was in Indiana, and so that was an interesting little stat. Be careful right where we live. Oh, so in 1999, I first became acquainted with our statistics, our really, really bad statistics. We were talking about 30,000 cases a year. We were looking at how many tests that we were getting in that were positive, even though there's a lot of things that are wrong with our tests. Mm-hmm. Just like with COVID, it relies on an immune response to say that you're positive. What if you have a bad immune system? It's very similar problems with the testing. And But now think about this. From 99, 30,000. The next jump in statistics was the year 2006. And what happened this year was the Infectious Disease Society of America, which will smush down to the IDSA. They reissued their guidelines for the diagnosis and treatment of Lyme and associated diseases. It was the most short-sighted, horrible, let's just use our own data,
Money-making.
money-making scheme that when you look at all of the authors of those guidelines, a great majority have conflicts of interest.
Yes.
They can make money from vaccines, patents on DNA in the bacteria. It's a crazy, crazy thing. We did not come to chronic illness thinking that we were going to get thrown down a crazy, it feels like a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because you can't believe all these things.
You're sick. You go for help. The help starts telling you it's all in your head. It can't be. You can't be having the seizures or any one of the millions, it seems, symptoms.
Right.
It must be you just need some attention. You know, I'm her mother, so of course Munchausen mama would be mentioned somewhere along the line, that we were somehow bored and this would take up some time going to visit doctors and stuff like that. And let me tell you something. You could not find anything further from the truth. We had a plan going forward before any of this happened. I'm a musician. My daughter grew up with my band and joined in from age like 3. And our plan was that we were really going for it once because we moved out here and she would have to be 21 in order to sing in the bars. So at that point we were really going to take our band somewhere. Plans changed. Sorry.
No, that's a wonderful explanation. So, in 2006, one thing the guidelines did acknowledge was the statistics gathering is woefully short. It's not giving us a true look at what is going on in the country. So they started to allow for, yes, there were 30,000 a year, but suspected cases could be up to 300,000 cases a year. So that became the official number in 2006. By 2016, just one decade later, the number was 476,000 cases. Can you see a pattern here? It just keeps growing, keeps on more than doubling. It, as she says, exponentially growing.
Especially as we move into habitat we haven't been in before, because, you know, suburbs are needed. So trees come down, houses get built with. Where do the deer go? They go from lawn to lawn and through the woods. You don't think anything of it.
And it's much more than deer.
Yeah.
Where do the mice go?
Right.
Where do, you know, all mammals are up for grabs. If a tick can grab them, it will.
Warm blood.
They will. There are certain types of ticks that will even grab lizards. So any kind of blood. Yeah. And there's a lot of kind of ticks. They're a little tank, a little armor. It's incredible.
You Googled.
I think I just turned your, yep.
Stop it.
Oh, really? So.
Sorry.
We just keep growing in numbers. And we keep trying to tell people that unless we can put forth a great education campaign, unless we can put together a national surveillance of ticks and the pathogens they carry, we are not going to get ahead of this. No. We are going to be trying to catch up forever. And we don't want that. We've seen the suffering, and I've seen patients that just wish they would be taken away. They wish they would die because it's too hard to live with it feels like your body betraying you every single day.
And one of our biggest payoffs is to get the information out there, go to the public in the very beginning of the disease. If you get it straight away, if you know what you're looking for, if you know either bullseye RAS or you've got the tick, and please keep the tick. Much easier to test the tick. So then if we can get you to the right doctor and into the right treatment, boom, you're usually good to go.
You're cured.
That's a win for us. It took
one of the best feelings.
8 years for Anna to actually get on treatment. What was it, 5 years to get a diagnosis, and then another 3 because she was diagnosed in Canada, and then had to deal with talking to the doctors in Washington State who would love to keep saying, but we don't have Lyme out here.
Right, it's ridiculous, and there are way too many stories across the USA that echo those exact words. Doctors do not know enough. Clinicians do not have the tools from which to gather the right information, and they lack the information, the knowledge of which questions to ask.
And with the politics of the disease, they really don't want to go near it. You know, why go towards anything that has some sort of flack that comes along with it, you know?
We have videos of doctors in that IDSA, in that guideline panel, where they're telling other doctors, don't test patients for Lyme, don't waste your time with that. Don't even give it a second thought.
We need better education. And our doctors, our nurses, our medical, whoever, your paramedics, all need the education in Lyme and the many, many ways it can present in a patient. Because you're talking about not one disease, but many in one bite, possibly, which makes each patient their own individual cocktail mess of disease, infections, virus, parasites, whatever, you know, yeah, on and on. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So welcome to 2022. The very first nymph ticks, the baby ticks, and we're talking, these things are no bigger than the period at the end of a sentence. And the first one that was spotted and sent into a place called Tick Spotters was the 3rd week in April. And they sent out the word, ticks are now out, please be careful. And by the time we mobilized Lyme Awareness Month, and that's the entire month of May, by this time, those nymph ticks are the size of poppy seeds. Think about on a bagel, the little thing, the black thing that
little
rolls
fleck
around.
of dust on your skin.
It looks no bigger than a freckle. They are so small that they go missed by so many people. When you can't see what you're up against,
Right.
And
a teeny tiny thing having as much of the mess in it as a large adult. You know, it's not that, oh, teeny tiny, so it only has one or two of them. No.
Right. One of the major takeaways here is that we are not dealing with one single infection.
No.
We are dealing with several different, very complex and can get to chronic conditions. We are dealing with 16 known pathogens in ticks in the USA that can infect humans, that can cause disease. And that's a lot. I was diagnosed eventually with 4 main infections. And then I had a lot of other diagnoses pile on as symptoms were either described or just different things started happening. Because, as she said, I was bitten in October of 1998. I was 17 years old, almost to be 18. And when I got the rash, I showed it to everyone in Indiana, and they went, no, don't worry. Everything around here bites. Everything gives rashes. Don't worry about it, really.
There's a lot of ticks in Indiana. Ooh.
Oh, there's a lot.
Ooh.
And I should have been able to reach back to my education.
Your Long Island education.
Right. My brother's best friend had Lyme growing up. He used to walk around with his IV pole. And luckily, he's the one who, as I was not quite sure, because after I get off the camping and canoeing trip that I was on in Indiana, and I'm noticing my back is hurting. And I'm going, I'm 17. Why is my back hurting? And I'll later be able to put together the rash. How I was feeling, I was achy, I was tired. I was having all of the symptoms of the first stage of borreliosis. And I was still traveling for a few months, so I got home to Washington in later December, exhausted, started a job in January, and then the very next month started feeling nauseous. And after that, I threw up every day for 6 months. That told us something was really wrong, really urgent to get to a doctor and find out. At that point, I didn't know, and it was quite scary.
We went to our country clinic, our country doctor, who really, I mean, our country doctors are on the front lines fighting against Lyme, and they didn't know about it. They didn't know about it. She was given the ELISA test, which I like to call the Eliza Doolittle test because it's not very good. It's just not very good. And then pronounced that, you know, that wasn't it. And they were going to do this test, that test, another test. And they kept doing tests, and they kept just sort of adding, well, let's give you this drug for that symptom, until she had a big plastic bag full of different drugs, and still was getting worse. Still was getting worse. And we went back to the doctor at one point. I slammed all of the medicine on his desk, and I say, you know, she had found out about the Lyme. She had come to me, and what she had read to me made sense. I said, would going on antibiotics hurt her? The doctor said, well, no. I said, well, then put her on them. And he put you on what, 2 weeks?
3 weeks of
doxycycline. And it was like a miracle. You know, she was doing really well.
Well, after 6 months, I finally stopped throwing up. After 8 months total, from that first month feeling ill, 6 months of throwing up, another month of not feeling great, but hey, not throwing up, I started to gain a bit of energy back. My brain was connecting in ways that it hadn't been for months.
Right.
But it wasn't enough. Once those 3 weeks stopped, all of the symptoms came back.
With a vengeance.
Times 5. This is when, unbeknownst to me, I started having seizures. And didn't know it until a doctor who was knowledgeable enough could tell me, because during a very long appointment, I had a seizure right in front of him.
That was a Canadian doctor.
Yeah. And so it took me not really that long to find the possibility of Lyme disease, because basically when I told my brother, and then my brother was talking to his best friend was going, dude, this sounds a lot like what I've gone through. Please tell her check out Lyme disease. And so I did. I'm printing up the symptom list. Stage 1, you get a bit tired, you get a bit achy. It's like you have a cold, flu-like symptoms, fever maybe, a creaky neck, but nothing too severe. And then a second stage starts where some neurological symptoms start to appear. The infection disseminates into different systems. So for me, it went right from my GI system. My whole digestion was never the same. And my neurological system was never the same either.
No.
And so I will be making a video that talks about how do we protect ourselves from ticks? How do we protect the yards from ticks? How do we, obviously...
all kinds of good ideas.
There are lots of good ideas. Thankfully, there's not a lot of contention on what to do to protect yourself.
Right.
Wear bug spray, tuck your pants in, wear light clothing, toss them into the dryer when you get home, go in the shower. You know, these are all very universal things that
used to be a part of
humans,
our lives when we were back in the day more in the country and not as civilized as we are now.
A tick check was a part of my grandmother's daily life.
But you know, I bathed you every single day as a wee one on Long Island. I knew your body. I knew what was right, what was different, anything like that. I never
You think you would have spotted something?
I think that I would have, if even a little speck, if it didn't move, I'd want to know about this.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't like the doctor, but hey, when I needed one, I'd go.
Right.
So the entire story is, it's going to take some time to set up where I was, how things went, the whole progression. It is a long, sordid story. Luckily, I can say that this many years later, we've figured out how to have our own rhythms at life and how to keep me at the most balanced I can be in my health. And I have a really wonderful team around me, my family, my friends, my community. I'm very blessed in everybody that comes to show that I am loved and supported. So when I found out that there were people out there that were getting pushed out of their family homes, that their families were telling them they didn't believe any of the words they were saying, I needed to reach out to those people because I had love and support in spades. So you think of just how to help the next person. That's what's been one of the biggest drives for us throughout all the misery, throughout all of the hardships. It like Mom likes to say that through every challenge you find a mission in life. You say it a lot better than I do, but you come across
Well, you get the challenges.
an injustice and you want to fix it.
Within a challenge, you have to find a new purpose so that you can keep moving forward.
That's it.
This is life. Things happen. Life turns on a dime. We all know this. You deal. You find a new purpose. And as I said to her when she was first sick, because she brought this printout to me, and she said, look, I think I'm in the second stage here. And it made all kinds of sense as I'm reading this very scientific looking thingy-dingy. And
it was a printout from Yale University to explain exactly how the 3 stages present themselves.
Now, my daughter was 18 at this point, and as I said to her, you have to be the captain of this team, and I will follow you. You know, I don't have the research brain that you have when your brain is on.
Yeah.
She is rather brilliant. Let me just say that, because there are some days that she's not. You're not brilliant, but it's hidden. It's hidden. She feels trapped in it. And all of a sudden, I just have a frightened wee one that I've got to protect.
And you'll see it. I already have at least one video up on the channel that shows me going through a really hard morning. And before I turned my camera on, I had to gather up all the strength that I had in the moment and ask my caregiver to go against every instinct that she has and not step in, so that we can record and show people. I was thinking doctors. I was thinking I have in my team primary care neurologist. Wow, nice.
That's a good one.
Neurologist,
Heart,
cardiologist, gynologist. Well, I'm just coming up with
A
good ones now.
gynecologist, as you would say. A gynecologist.
That one,
That one, yeah.
as well as a
Psychiatrist
psychiatrist and a talk therapist.
and a psychologist.
So you need, when you're seeing as many doctors as I am,
Takes a village.
you need somebody to talk to who, the psychologist is a wonderful tool for not only just getting the exasperations out as they come, but they can help you connect up which doctors need to be talking at that time. You keep them up to date on what's going on with you, what's going on with the doctors, who's ordering what test. They will be one of your best allies. And so,
I mean, I really wanted you to have a place where you could go to talk that wasn't me. I mean, not that I don't love talking to you and we talk about everything under the sun, but I'm also your caregiver. Maybe you need to bitch about me sometimes, you know. You need to go someplace. I go, oh, God, what a morning. Whatever. And then you don't hurt my feelings and you've done your thing. And like that there.
and just as important, you set up boundaries as a caregiver
Yes.
and take care of yourself first so that you can take care of your patient.
I think I was a step ahead because, as I've always said, I have 312 personalities. So I have no problem sort of separating things. You know, as I said to so many doctors, I love and comfort my daughter as her mother. I serve her proudly, professionally, as her caregiver. And for me, it's easy to make the distinction between the two. In fact, it's helpful because as a mother, sometimes I might want to get just a little exasperated. Oh, God, do I have to do this? Could you just deal with this? And I'm a caregiver, and thankfully I am a paid caregiver by the state. And thankfully to my union, I'm a decently paid caregiver in my state. So there's a pride to that, you know, and it makes you go the extra mile, I think. And of course, over 25 years, you can learn a little bit.
Absolutely.
And you're one of my best teachers.
Right back at you.
I might need to go to the bathroom now. Is this a good spot to stop? We kind of went all over the place a bit.
We did kind of go all over the place. I would like to say one thing right off the bat. I do not have teeth. You might have noticed it because I've not had teeth for about 20 years. And one of the costs of throwing up as much as I did in my 20s, unfortunately, like Mimi said, the symptoms came back with a vengeance. Throwing up is something that has stayed with me year by year by year. It is not abated. I take IV medication for it daily. It's still very strong. So when I had these acids coming up over my teeth every morning, it was destroying them. When I would brush my teeth, chips would come out in the bathroom sink. Sorry to be very vivid, but it was incredibly painful. And I'd make another trip to the dentist, like, okay, another one. And we'd try to salvage a tooth. We'd try to salvage a side. And then we were like, okay, let's be real. You're throwing up is a problem, and it's going to continue being a problem. So at the University of Washington, the dentist suggested going with either taking the teeth out and making dentures or implants. Well, by then I was on Medicaid. So implants, nope, not going to pay for them. And so they did make a set of dentures.
Would have made Bugs Bunny proud.
The teeth were really, really long, big, weird.
She couldn't close her mouth. She couldn't close her lips around it. That's how big. They were like 3 times as big as her teeth had been. You know, and we were never told, well, this is the final fitting or anything like that. She was asked how it felt on the other side, the gum side. You know, and we thought, well, okay,
asking how
next,
the gums
could we
felt.
maybe get to the size of these things? No, you're done. Sorry. And Medicaid's going to stop doing anything for dental now, so that's a useless exercise.
Right. It just became, putting in the dentures made me feel nauseous. I couldn't just keep piling on my own miseries. So you choose your less of two evils, and I have gone with no teeth for quite some time. Just have to work on the enunciation, and I've gotten to surprise children, which is always fun. Hey, children are my nephew was, we were watching a cartoon where an old person's dentures fell out, and so of course their words went from being like this to and my nephew was cracking himself up. So I just looked over and I said, "Do you think it's the teeth that make the sounds? Do you?" Well, don't they? I said, "No." And funny that you haven't noticed that I don't have teeth, my young nephew. So he was 7 years old, 8 maybe at the time, and he came over, he looked, and was like, okay, I learned something. So yeah, it's a common misconception for people to think, oh, if that person doesn't have teeth, they can't even speak, they probably wouldn't even be worth listening to. We do lisp and make up our own words, and it's hard. You have to work at slowing yourself down, enunciating, and not trying to trip over your own mouth.
Full disclosure, I am also, as I like to call it, an amputee. It was not because of Lyme throwing up or anything like that. It was British teeth. That's all I can tell you. And it turns out I got dentures, and I thought, this was going to be the end of it. I could be a movie star now. Life would be swell. But turns out I had a small and deformed mouth. And so dentures will not stay in. They just fall out. And implants, well, we'll go back to that thing about the cost. And so that's the end of that. And so you teach yourself, you teach your tongue to go to a different place so you can make an S sound. And we call ourselves amputees to put
Proudly.
it, you see a veteran who's given a limb in war and stuff like that. But you see a person without teeth, and you go, oh, well, their brains have fallen out, they're on welfare, must chew tobacco, and, be old Ma Kettle sitting on the back porch. Well, it's not true.
No.
And maybe we could stop being very mean to people who are
Different.
in a difficult situation and doing the best they can.
Yes.
And that's our story about being amputees. You don't
Yes.
like it? It's an expression from my country, goes a little like that.
Oh.
Sorry.
But no, that's perfect. Perfect. Because I think that's a wonderful place to say,
Good night.
it's been really nice getting to know you.
So long. It's been good to know you. You'll trim this.
I will. I'll go through this.
Okay.
I'll make sure that ums, ers, and
Vert. I may have burped. I may have gurgled. I don't know when I'm drinking my tea.
oh hey, I can tell you from there. I used to think that every swallow was getting picked up, and no, it's not.
That's good.
You can really get.
That's
So we're
So
going.
if you were to do something really quick.
Oh,
All right, so I would say, all right, my name is Lorraine Hart. I have been a caregiver now for almost 20 years. Would it be? Or would it be
you started in 2004.
4? Yeah, so almost 20 years. I have been a professional caregiver for my daughter, and it's part of my life. Our new purpose then is to help other people with Lyme. I'm part of my daughter's team. I'm really proud and happy to be a part of her team. And other than that, I'm pretty rad.
You are.
That's all I gotta say. So just do a, just I don't know.
And yes, and we will continue on to tell you more about ourselves, our journey, and they said things that we've learned along the way. We have picked up really good tips, tricks, hacks, whatever you want to call them.
Songs? We may have a song or two somewhere
We
along the line.
have
You never
sung
know.
through a spinal tap.
Yeah,
That'll be a great story to share.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to say good night, and we hope everybody
Bonsoir.
has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Happy Lyme Awareness Month. Please
Thank
be
you for
careful.
listening. Thank you for listening to us.
Yes,
And
and please be careful. Ticks are out there. Like I said, we'll be putting up video that is all about how to protect yourself, how to protect your yard. All good. We will arm you with the tools that you need.
right on.
Have a good night.